On an April night 4 years ago, when most of Sydney is knocking off, business is just getting started on level 1 of the Star Casino complex, in a special gaming room reserved for big money gamblers, many from overseas, brought in by a company called Sun City. This Sun City employee brings a sports bag into its exclusive room that's known as Salon 95.
Sun City staff accept a large amount of cash from a male which is located in a leisure bag.
Inside the bag, there's so much money that only a few handfuls are taken out and fed through the note counter at any one time.
We do not know the source of funds for those large amounts of cash.
That's correct.
The video shows the counted cash being wrapped, stacked, and then stashed under the desk. Years on, the Star's management has now been forced to publicly admit this should not have been allowed to happen.
There was a very high risk that money laundering was occurring in Salon 95.
I agree.
Casinos give a marvellous opportunity to different tiers of money laundering. In poker machines, you can feed it in. It swallows up $50 and $100 notes. Then you can gamble for 5 minutes and then cash it out.
It's not rocket science. I mean, if somebody turns up with a big bag of cash, then it seems reasonable that you should ask them, where does the money come from? And the fact that this was never asked, it would seem, suggests that they really didn't want to know.
Back in the mid-1990s, Sydney's first casino was launched in a blaze of glitz and hype, promising a tourist magnet to rival the Harbour Bridge and Opera House, and an entertainment and jobs bonanza. And the Star downplayed concerns. It'd also be a magnet for money laundering.
Every table has a security camera, every player recorded on video. The casino management boasts it's the most secure gambling establishment in Australia.
But the casino became increasingly dependent on high-rolling gamblers flying in from China, where gambling is all but illegal. Dependent on the private junket tour operators that delivered many of these gamblers to the Star.
The reality is that most of the junket operators that are operating out of Macau are heavily suspected of being engaged in criminal activities.
Charles Livingston is a gambling researcher with Melbourne's Monash University. He says junkets make it harder for casinos to know how much each player contributed or where their money came from.
Effectively what you've got is you've got a closed circuit operation. What happens in the junket room, you might say, stays in the junket room.
Was deemed not fit to hold the licence for its third Australian casino.
This inquiry follows similar investigations in 3 states over recent years into arch-rival Crown.
Illegal, dishonest, unethical and not suitable to hold a licence.
Unsuitable at present to hold WA's only casino licence.
The interesting part about the current Star hearing is that it's no longer the case that Crown was a rotten apple in an orchard of lovely, ripe, juicy red apples. It's about a rotten orchard.
Professor Linda Hancock has been monitoring Australian casinos for decades. This latest inquiry, she says, provides further evidence companies aren't doing enough to comply with money laundering laws that are meant to stop criminals turning their proceeds of crime into legitimate funds.
The most shocking thing is the commonality. You have key employees of these casinos in 3 states saying more or less that they didn't know what was going on in their own casino.
Under federal law, casinos like the Star need to know who their customers are and must report suspected money laundering, along with flagging all cash transactions above $10,000. But the widespread use of junket operators can reduce transparency. The casino's relationship is with this third-party contractor, the junket operator, and not with the players. It's the junket that often finds the players, handles their money, and chases any debts. One of the Star's biggest sources of revenue was from the Sun City junket. Until last year, when the Star finally ended the decade-long relationship after Chinese authorities arrested Sun City's chief executive, Alvin Chow, on suspicion of gambling and money laundering offences. Years earlier, one of the casino's senior investigators prepared a report labelling Chow an organised crime figure whose business, Sun City, was laundering up to $2 million a day worldwide. The Star wrote 2 warning letters flouted by Sun City, and there was a string of incidents in Salon 95 caught on the casino's own surveillance cameras.
Wasn't the only appropriate way to manage the risk that Alvin Chow and Sun City presented at this time to stop dealing with them?
Look, that is one way to manage the risk.
But the Star kept dealing with Sun City until late last year. It's just after midnight on a Tuesday morning in May 2018. The man in the bottom right grabs his chips from the baccarat table, takes them to a counter and hands them over. Sun City staff reach back under the counter, this time retrieving bundles of notes, while a colleague brings over a brown paper bag for the man to fill with cash.
Does this concern you in any way?
Yes, it does.
And why is that?
Because it's an exchange of chips for cash, which is not supposed to occur one for one at that desk.
The inquiry has heard that would amount to an unregulated, illegal casino operating inside the Star.
It is a hanging offence. They should lose their licence.
How many money launderers did Star City let through the net? Maybe selling drugs to our children or dealing in arms internationally?
Hi, I'm Lee Sales. Thanks for watching this story. If you'd like to watch more of 7:30's stories, they are on the left of your screen. And tap on the button below to subscribe and get the latest from ABC News.